up, everybody? I'm Sal Kalani. This is Reggie Steele. And welcome to Spitballin. Spitballin.
What's up, everybody? I'm Sal Kalani. This is Reggie Steele.
And welcome to Spitballin. Man, I'm excited about today. We have a guest today.
We have a guest today. All right, Reg.
We have a guest on Spitballin. And you know what that means? That means good times. Good times indeed. So
we should call it people like we're on Spitballin, and those who listen are our spitwads. That's pretty good, right? You want to be a spitwad? Because we're spitting it out to them. No? All right.
For everyone who's listening, when Sal said we should call our listeners spitwads, I made a very disgruntled and confusing face. It's like I don't know if we should call.
Well, we got to give them a name, right? We got to give them a name.
Can we just call them the ballers, the spitballers?
Oh, that's not too bad. Okay, well, yeah, we'll see. We should do like a little poll, and the three of them can vote, and we can see if it's would you prefer spitwads, spitballers, sputs?
No one's gonna go for spitwads. I'm telling you that right now.
I just think it's kind of cute. We could do a little drawing of little like crumpled up paper balls, and they're like, "We're the spitwads."
Yeah, nah, it's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. For everyone listening, I will advocate for you to not ever be called spitwads.
Hey, hold on. Wait a minute. What did they vote for it, dude? It's different. You know, you take the grossness away from it.
No.
All right. So anyway, to whoever our listeners are, I gotta say what I experienced last week, because Reggie and I, we always do I do put a little clips together. You know, I gotta edit a lot because Reggie's bumbling all over his words. So I put up 2 clips last week.
Wait. Why I gotta be bumbling? Why I gotta be bumbling?
I don't know, Reg.
Okay, go ahead.
So so I put it on TikTok, and that's where the real crazies really came out. So Reggie and I were just ripping on some dude who they're upset about the Trump mugshot. You're not allowed to talk about that or something. And then I called we made fun of this guy who was like, "You people insane." We just made fun of it, right? So I put this on video up there, and a lot of people like agreed with what we were saying and stuff. But these Trumpers, man, I don't care, Reg. I'm going off. They're a fucking crazy cult. They're cancer on our society. This is what happened, dude. So I put this up, and this guy, he just like goes off, dude. You're not funny. This shit's garbage. Trump 2024. You're not funny. These guys are fake. 2024. But it went off for like 20 of my videos, dude. Like, I didn't even read it all. I was just like, what's going on? But everyone ended with Trump 2024. And so I was like, I think you need, I commented, like, I think you need to see a therapist, you know?
Yeah, you need help, bro.
Dude, and then to be that insane. So then I just blocked the guy, right? So then he goes and finds me on Instagram and follows me, and then starts commenting again. This guy's trash. And I'm like, fucking block you there, dude. Go fuck yourself. So there's that kind. And then the other kind of Trumper that I experienced putting this video up on TikTok was the guy who wants to engage. Like, what? And this guy has a black man as his profile pic. So
which is always bogus.
It sounds like it was some big white dude. Then you go on these profiles and they have like 2 videos. Like, it's nothing. They're just, I don't know. Maybe they are just some bots in China, or they're specifically commenting on videos. But he tries to engage, like, the liberals are this. You're just about hate or whatever. They talk in extremes, and then he's like, and it's like, what? Well, you don't even. What's your problem with Trump? It's just what CNN told you. And I'm like, no, it's what he actually said. His actual words, his actual lies, and then I'm replying. And this guy's like, what lie? Can you name one lie? He said, like, they just act like so oblivious. I'm like, what lie? I'm like, there's a fucking Washington Post did 33,000 lies, he said, in his 4 years. In his 4 years.
4 years, jeez.
So I'm like, what lies? There's nothing but lies. He's lying about the goddamn election. So I'm just like,
we should
go back and forth. And then the guy goes, well, just give me your phone number, so I'll just explain to you. Too much to type what the truth is or whatever. Too much to type. And I was like, all right, no problem. It's 555. Go fuck yourself. You goddamn anti-American pieces of shit ruining this country. It's like the dingleberries on the fucking country. Just wipe this shit off the ass and throw them out already. I'm sick of it, Reg. I'm sick of it.
And there you have it, folks.
So Kathleen's people are like, I just wanted to tune in and listen to her interview. What is going on?
Hey, you have a point, man. I can't even follow that. I just let it be what it is.
I feel bad for these kids who deal with online bullying. And I had a friend of mine who lost his son to bullying. And it fucks with your mental health. And me being established, not giving a fuck what these morons really think, I get bothered that day. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and then it's just hard to disengage it because they're like, oh, what about this? What about that? All bullshit. And it's just like, they replicate who they idolize. You know what I mean? They do how Trump does and just move the goalposts back, bunch of bullshit. Anyway, dude, yeah, so that was but I'm not gonna stop. We got to keep putting this stuff out there. You definitely get more hate on the TikTok. I don't know what it is, but you get some hateful, and I should have, instead of blocking the guy, I should have reported him because he used homophobic slurs some of our videos too.
Go unblock him and then report him and then block his ass again. There you go.
It's just like, I don't even want to deal with all this shit. I just wish I could just punch him in the face through the computer screen, but you can't do that nowadays.
The way I deal with all that shit is I'm not on TikTok.
I know. And that's why nobody's watching our shit, Reg. You got you got to help cross promote this.
Hey, dude, if it
you
ain't
can't
on,
just stay in Facebook and Instagram land.
That's it. I'm not doing TikTok, bro. I have no desire to do TikTok. I'm not even inclined, not even interested.
You know what another thing whack about TikTok? Can't talk about drugs on TikTok. Can't talk about certain things on TikTok. They won't even air it or censor it.
Why you want to talk about drugs?
Well, I had that joke. I just do a joke about how it's legal for marijuana now in Missouri. And I was just messing with the crowd. And they don't, like, I guess if you go to my TikTok, you can see it, but nobody's really seen it because they don't put it out into the public. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, and they've done it to a couple things we've done. There was one clip where you dropped the N-word, doing like a Sanford and Son bit or something. They didn't even post it. They won't post it. So now I got to bleep it, which is just like, but whatever. Because then some racist people try and get away with it, blah, 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 blah.
Right. Well, back to this. I'm not on TikTok. And dare I say, I'm barely on Instagram these days. And I'll glance at Facebook every once in a while. I'm kind of over all the social media, bro. Like, seriously, it just doesn't. I realize it doesn't.
I feel you.
Yeah, it doesn't bring me any joy. Like I derive no joy, no pleasure from it at all. Like I literally just sit there. I kind of scroll through. I'll read a couple of headlines, maybe click on something every once in a while, look at somebody's picture, like a thing. Then I'm like, ugh, I'm done. I'm done. It's not real, bro. It's like, it's not real. The fact that people are getting upset and worried and it's affecting their lives, right? And I get it. Because everyone's showing the best moment of their lives all the time. It's like,
right, yeah. Let me see the other pictures you did choose.
Exactly. Like you're always looking at someone's best moment. So it's just a collection of the best moment of their lives. And if you keep scrolling through, then you just see all these quote unquote happy moments. And it feels like, yo, am I doing anything? How come I'm not happy like this all the damn time?
Right.
But you know what's funny?
Your head, man.
It fucks with your head if you allow it. But you know what's funny to me? Is that I see people do this. I see people do this all the time, right? Because where I work at, and I'm
they're always trying to get shots in the bay.
Exactly. So here they are. They're taking their picture. They're like, okay, let's do the thing. Yay, we're having a great time. And this is exactly what happens. They go, yay.
Y'all just got to look at it right away.
Right.
Dude, we all getting cameras. It's so crazy.
But they don't. But the thing is that it's not like they're really, it's a fake excitement. It's like, look at us. We're looking at a thing. Yay. This is the picture you see. And then right after that picture, they go,
no, let me go look at it. Let me see what came up.
I'm posted. We're doing a thing, So it's like, damn, all that, man.
You know, I was thinking, like, when they invented the camera, like 100 or so years ago, whatever it was, do you think they would have thought
that people would be holding
in
in
100 years,
hands?
everyone will have a camera, and the most common things we will take pictures of are ourselves and food?
I can say no, they did not think about that. And I think probably 10 years ago, nobody thought about that. Right?
That's all we do. And when I was in Vegas, I just saw it constantly. It was all food pictures people taking and all selfies, man.
Hey, man, I don't think people love anyone more than themselves.
Yeah, man. We
all the
love
time.
and to let everyone know where we're at, what we're doing,
where we're at, what we're doing, and look what I look like. Should I wear this? Should I wear that? I'm not sure. I think I've said this before on the podcast, and I'll say it again. I think that social media and handheld phones or cameras have really exposed everyone's desire to be seen and heard. Right?
Yeah, it's like Andy Warhol said, the 15 minutes of fame.
Everybody wants their 15 minutes, but with your cell phone, you can get your 20 minutes or your lifelong, whatever it is for you to keep.
Is that your guest going, hey, where the hell are you?
Oh, you heard the vibration?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You know,
But it's 16. It's 16.
We should get going. I was going to show off some new kicks I got, but I could wait till next week on them, dude.
Okay, well, all right. Well, you want to introduce them? You want to introduce them?
Introduce what?
The shoes. I mean, what they are.
Well, they're I designed them myself, Air Force Ones.
Oh,
so they had this little thing on Nike. I got a gift card from Christmas, and I never cashed it in, and I didn't know what to get. I was going to get like a matching jumpsuit or something, you know.
Yeah,
I didn't have anything I really wanted. I didn't want to just wear sweats, you know what I mean?
Right.
So then they had this deal in Dunk Lows, which I have a pair, which are very comfortable. The most comfortable Nikes I have are the Dunk Lows and the Air Force Ones. Well, after 2 weeks, they went away. You couldn't design it anymore. I already had it set up, but I'd never pulled the trigger, right? I was thinking about it, and it was gone. And I was like, holy shit, in 2 weeks. Because those are their most popular shoes. So then I did the Air Force Ones. And I was like, well, let me get on this. But see, you can't do the same palette. You know what I mean? They give you different colors or whatever. But all right, here's the little box they give you, Reg.
All right,
Nike by you. See,
Nike by you. Okay.
And it slides out. And then this is the Sal Kalani Special. See what you think.
All right, here we go.
Here we are.
Oh, look at that.
It might be tough to see. So it's got the light blue, the black, the pink, the dark blue soles and tennies or laces.
Hey, Sal.
It has a pink. They're pretty dope, right?
Hey, dude, I would honestly, no joke, I'd rock those.
Word.
I'd rock those. Yo, won't you order
me some?
It's fun
doing your own, but you know you can get a little crazy. You don't know what it's gonna look like.
Dude, order me some and I'll pay you.
Oh, the same
14s.
kind?
Same kind, same color.
What size?
14.
Because I'm 13. And so here's another thing. You could pick canvas, leather. Yeah, it's pretty dope, dude. Pretty dope.
Dude, order me some. I'll pay you for them. Size 14. But you're on the side, you got to put that RS. That RS.
Well, you could put some on the back instead of having it say Nike Air. You could have it say something else.
Oh yeah. Okay. So where it says Nike Air, just put Reggie S.
Reggie S.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll fit. We'll see.
Okay. Or put
all right.
Reggie,
well, let's bring in your guest, Reg.
Put Reggie on one shoe and then put Steel on the other.
You could do that. I was thinking
that's all I'm saying. Just do that for me.
Do that for me.
Do that for me. All right. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, buddy.
Let's bring our guest in.
All right, I'll start admitting it right now.
Okay.
And you're with the intro. Time it well, my friend.
All right, folks. I'm so happy that you're here today, and I'm excited to introduce a friend of mine that I've known for years now. A good friend of mine. She's phenomenal. She's so talented. She's so gifted. She's over the top. She's bringing so much to the table. I don't even know where to start at. Please put your hands together and welcome to the show, to Spitballin, Kathleen Tarr.
Sure. Kathleen Antonia Tarr. You can put it all in there.
Okay, Kathleen Antonia Tarr.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh,
good morning to you.
Shucks. Hold up. I didn't know we were cheersing. It's empty, but
okay.
No, that's like a bad mojo, Reg.
All right.
Well, I'll drink it. Kathleen, how are you?
I am well delighted to see you again, Reginald.
Oh,
Sal,
yes.
lovely to make your acquaintance.
Nice to meet you.
How are you both enjoying this extinction level event?
Oh, it's the ELE, right?
Yes, that we're all in right now.
You know, I'm just running. I'm just going with the flow. I don't even know
What does that mean? Can educate me? The ELE.
I mean, there's a very specific definition, but it's when there's a massive extinction happening, and we're sort of in that right now with climate.
So we're talking like climate change,
yeah, climate
or
catastrophe,
fires, climate change,
all of it.
fires,
I'm sort of borrowing it
hurricanes.
from Hannah Gadsby. She said it in her latest comedy routine where she's like, this extinction. I think she might even ask that. How is everyone enjoying this extinction level event? I'm like, yes, you know what? We should always remember that that's what's going on.
That's what's going on.
Yeah.
At first, when you said ELE or when you said extinction level event, I was thinking of Busta Rhymes' album. It was a phenomenal album, extinction level event. That's why I even know what that means.
He was prescient.
He was.
Yes.
Oh, so how are you? What's going on? How you doing?
How are you guys doing?
We're good. We're good. We're excited to have you. I was reading your bio, and I know you obviously, but every time I read your bio, I just go, oh my goodness. I'm like, how do I know this woman? Like what gods have shined on me so that I can make your acquaintance, right?
But you know how we know each other.
Oh no,
Comedy.
I know, but I still feel like it's amazing that like I know you. So Sal doesn't know you. So let's talk about where you're from, where you started, how you ended up where you. We'll get to that.
When can I learn? How'd you meet? Can we start with that?
Okay. You wanna say it? You wanna tell the story?
You can go ahead because I mean I know I saw you on stage. I kind of feel like the first time I saw you was with Dave Chappelle, but maybe it wasn't that show, or maybe it was just with Dave that I just decided to introduce you to my agent. But I don't know. You tell it.
Okay, I thought it was either Dave. I think you saw me with Dave. And I thought you saw me with like Charlie Murphy or something too.
Oh, maybe it was Charlie Murphy.
I think it was Charlie
way
Murphy.
back, dog.
Yeah, this goes way back. So,
yeah.
But Kathleen saw me. She saw me one time. I think you saw me once with. I think you saw me with Charlie Murphy first, right? Maybe at Cobb somewhere.
Yeah.
And then you saw me again. And then the second time, that's when you came up to me afterwards and was like, hey, look, I've seen you a couple of times now. I think you're really funny. I think you're talented. And I think that you have other talent. Like, I think you'd be a good actor as well. I am an actor. I have an agent. I'd love to introduce you to my agent. Mm-hmm. And we exchanged information. And I met her downtown San Francisco. She walked me into Look Talent, where she introduced me to a woman named Joan Spangler. Kathleen was like, hey, look, there's this guy. I met him. I think he's funny. I think he's talented. I think he would be a great asset to your company to represent. And Joan, at that point, then says to me, okay, so Reggie, Kathleen has been with us X amount of years. We love her. She's one of our favorites and one of the best that we have. She's never done this before for anyone, right? And she goes, so I will represent you, but understand that you represent Kathleen. And we don't ever want to make Kathleen look bad in any way. I was like, no, never. She was basically
other than
like,
myself.
Other than yourself. Yeah. She was basically on some mafia shit. Like, she's vouching for you. So don't mess this up. Right. And I was like, okay. And from that, honestly, man, it was just a wonderful experience. I had meeting Kathleen and then having Joan and Look Talent represent me that led to TV shows, movies.
So she's how you got your agent? You gave Reggie a whole second career. Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Because at the time, I think when you asked me, you said, are you actor? And I was like, well, I'm signed up with Bo Beno, but that's not,
that means no.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I have a huge debt of gratitude.
Wow. See, because I got an agent up there and stuff, but I was like, had to do that shit on my own with Reggie. Shit just falls in this man's lap.
No. Hold on. It didn't just.
I worked with Chappelle. Nobody came up to me afterwards. I know Charlie Murphy. That was fun.
Yo, man, cool Charlie Murphy
that's
story.
Great though. That's nice of you though.
Yeah, it was great. I got Sal his first opening.
Yeah, that's
show.
True. You helped me open
at the San Jose Improv opening for Charlie Murphy.
In front of like 500 people. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. So I guess it all comes around.
Exactly. And you hold up real quick and talk about vouching. When they asked me if I knew someone, I was like, yeah, I got a friend, Sal Kalani. They were like, well, can he do 10 minutes? And I was like, yeah, he can do 10 minutes, right? And they're like, okay.
You hesitated?
I was just like, I wanted to make sure, right?
This
And,
guy who booked it at the time was like this ex-Marine hard ass. So you always want to be tough. But for some reason, he loved Reggie. Everybody loves Reggie. So he really put the nails on him before he let me vouch it for me.
Yo, he straight up said, and I quote, he goes, just like this, he goes, "You vouching for this guy?" And I was like, wait, hold up. Hold up.
It's 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, I'm like, if he doesn't do well, is it gonna affect me in some way? And I was like, okay, hold up. I was like, 10 minutes, Sal. Yeah, I'm vouching.
By this point, I've already done 20, 30.
Yeah,
probably.
exactly.
But this is, but you know, you're right though. It's different when you're right on that level. You're getting paid, and then for like 500 people, that was different too. And you're like, whoa, it hits different. It's interesting.
Different. And I have been killing that whole week, so I was like, I know I'm doing my thing. I hope Sal can come in and do his, and we're still good to go. So
yeah,
I thought at first maybe it meant, can Sal cut it down to 10 minutes?
That's you better not. Yeah, you go over. That's a whole nother problem. That's they get pissed about that.
Yeah, if Sal had gone over, I literally would have got to look like,
you would have got off the stage, just tackle me. Get the hell off.
Yeah, this your dude. He's a minute over. Like he's doing the outro. Like he's doing the intro. So yeah, Kathleen is the one that
oh, well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Can I ask what some of the maybe the acting gigs we might have heard of or seen you in?
Probably the one people talk about the most. I was a Blur in House. I was Cuddy's nanny. Not that you'd know from seeing. That was
funny.
That was a lot of bad luck shooting, but also the first episode I did. So Lisa Edelstein, who plays Cuddy, she's short. She's got this beautiful black hair. Like I've never seen more beautiful hair on a person. But I am not a small person. Like I'm a thrower. I'm a hammer thrower, shot putter, former football player. Like I'm a big person. And so I'm only 5'8", but in Hollywood, that's kind of a big deal. And I'm not like dainty. So, and I was probably the skinniest I've ever been in my life, which still meant like a size 6. So that's huge in Hollywood, right? So this scene, the first problem was the baby was supposed to be crying, right? The baby is sick. And I'm supposed to be taking care of the baby. Well, these babies apparently cried all the time, but they loved me. So every time I was with them, they were like, ha, 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 ha. Like they did not at all. So all that stuff that's not going to show up. And then when Lisa Edelstein's handing me the baby in one of the scenes, and you can see this if you look, I think the episode's called 9 to 5 or something. She has to get up on her tiptoes to hand me this baby because we're so different in height.
Oh, wow.
And my husband, when we're watching it, he sits there and he says, "It looks like Gandalf and a hobbit." Wow. Like, yeah. But anyway, but they were really great. I mean, I love that team so much. I did do an episode with Hugh Laurie, but that whole scene got cut out. And in my head, I was thinking, this scene is kind of weird and I can't talk about it, right? But I was like, this scene is kind of strange. That's okay. I'm going to keep my mouth shut because usually I open my mouth and then I get completely cut just because I've asked a question that and they're like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Let's get rid of you. So I was like, well, I'm not going to say anything. But they must have figured it out in the editing room. But Hugh Laurie was amazing. He's like the celebrity, I think, of that caliber at that time too, especially that's who I want to have dinner with. I actually ended up talking to him about his book. Do you know he has a book, The Gunseller? It's so good. And I keep waiting, like, where is this movie? I really liked him a lot, but it was more the intellectual conversation. We talked about the translations into other languages and stuff like that. But that's one thing you would know before. And then I do voiceovers for video games. So like SimCity and Time Crisis 3, probably the ones that are the more famous ones.
What is your role in the voice in the video games usually?
Lots.
Really, like multiple characters?
Lots, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool.
Sal was in a video game.
I was in a video game, NBA 2K16, and Spike Lee did this little like side movie in it. So I played one of the recruiters. So it was cool. I auditioned for him, and then he booked me, and then and I saw him get pissed off at the guy before me because the guy didn't know his lines, and then I had to go next, and I was like, shit, you made Spike, man. But then like I killed it. He was cool. He came over, shook my hand afterwards, and that was it, man. And I heard, he was cool. I heard people who worked a week on that show set or whatever, he gave them Jordans. He gave them all Air Jordans afterwards. I was like, wow. That's sweet. But
the cool thing about it too is that when you see the video, the character looks like Sal. Like,
Yeah,
it's-
half my
Yeah.
face, because I had to wear the thing and all
Uh-huh.
that. That's a whole nother weird thing of acting, because I think there's like there's like a little camera right in front of your face too.
Mhm.
So you got this helmet on. Yeah, it's definitely different.
yeah,
But
it looks like Sal.
Are you
Yeah, it
worried
was-
now that with all the digitization that they're going to be able to come up with your see your character somewhere, even though you didn't give rights, like that guy from Call of Duty?
Oh,
You
no,
guys
is
hear
wait.
that
the
what
story?
happened?
No.
Yeah, it's like they used his image in some other game. Like he wasn't paid for it. He just suddenly showed up, and
No.
I think they used his actual image too. He was a voiceover, but yeah, and it
Yeah,
just
see,
showed
that's kind
up.
of
This is
messed
part
up.
of what
You
the
gotta,
strikes are about, right? The strikes are
yeah,
all
Right.
right.
Oh,
No,
see, that
yeah,
sucks.
no. I mean, I'm not worried because of the old gen, I guess, on it. It wasn't like a major part, but yeah, no, I hear you. The one thing I don't really worry though about AI, I was all worried about AI and stuff, but I'm like, with comedy, I'm like, nah, dude, you still got to be a person with the timing, I feel, and with everything. Like, you could tell a stupid joke, sure, but
Right.
stand-up comedy, I think that's the safest thing from AI.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the AI just because I think people are corrupt. I hate to say it.
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
they'll do whatever they can.
yeah, exactly. I think people will exploit it. I'll play this. I think Morgan Freeman could potentially be an actor forever going forward.
Mhm.
Brad Pitt, Al Pacino, Tom Cruise, anybody who's been successful in the theaters, they can literally just use it. Someone can sell that image and they can be that they can be in perpetuity, right?
Mhm.
And just be whoever, which can cut jobs out. So yeah, I'm not feeling it too much. But
Yeah, no, of course not.
but
I worry about it
Catherine,
more on the education level and people's ability to think critically. I mean,
right.
human intelligence has been artificial for a long time, right? Like
Mhm.
people have constantly referred to other items to do some of their work for them, whether it's a calculator or something else.
Right.
But this level of artificial intelligence, and I think you even touched on this last week, where it's like you can have something write an essay for you. You don't ever have to have done the research yourself. You don't ever have to have thought about anything.
Mm.
And I think the big danger, because I think there's obviously a debate in education, but like there's not a discussion about how it actually impedes critical thinking, right? So there's
Right.
not like people are going to stop trying to think about ideas. Like it's the same thing. Most people, like with a calculator, who knows how to read a logarithm chart anymore, right? Like, do people even
Right.
remember PEMDAS? Like there are all sorts of things that have gone to the side because of an invention. And so that's, I think, the concern I have is like, are we going to actually get rid of critical thinking, which has already been challenged? And so people aren't actually even able to compute data and information and get insights and see things and that type of thing. That's my big worry.
I'm so glad you said that, and you said it so articulately well, right? Like
I know
that's
it's way
perfect.
better than how we sound on here.
Yo, straight up, because just for the record, my son is in 5th grade, and math is a big thing, and so I'm always trying to encourage him to do the actual work, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Uh-huh.
But there's also outside influences that kind of like, well, he could just use a calculator, or there's a calculator. Why don't you just get him a calculator? And I'm like, no, because if he doesn't actually know how to do it, then what happens when he doesn't have the device, right?
Right.
So yeah, I'm with you 100%. I love that. That's you're so right. I also think that it can be nefarious in the sense of people weaponizing it to send messages or information, right? Like, oh, this
Yeah.
person is endorsing a thing, and this is what they said. Because we live in a society where people trust celebrities without even knowing whether they know what's really real or not, right?
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, I was in the thing and I did the thing and you love me in that, and I think you should vote this way because that's the way to. It's like, oh,
Let me
really?
ask you, because I just went on this whole rant before we had you on, so sorry.
Yeah, that's what took
I
us
know.
so long.
Sorry, I didn't get to hear it. Go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, you will. But all these Trumpers were going off on us on TikTok because of a video we posted last week. So you being a doctor, being a professor, Stanford, how do you deal with this part of society of these moron, non-believing fact idiots that we have to deal with in America? Like, how can you deal with it? I can't even deal with it. I'm not as smart as you.
She probably just doesn't engage at all, Sal. I'm sorry.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, we need to get rid of this. It's like a cancerous tumor on our country.
I mean, I think it goes a little bit to what you just said, Reggie, too, about celebrity. I mean, the big problem that we have with our culture and with capitalism, because even if we tie it back to the extinction level event, we're not going to derail that catastrophe. Like, we're not going to slow it down or get better unless we can dismantle capitalism. It
Right.
just doesn't work out. Like, capitalism is an economy of waste, of resources, of all sorts of things, but it is also an economy of addiction. So the things that sell are the things that make people excited, gets their endorphins going. Like, that is what is popular in capitalism, and that's what makes money. And so you end up also, that's what finances people at the top. It's all about that addiction culture. Like, what can make me feel good? It's not about what's smart. It's not about what makes sense. It's not about any of this. So we can talk about, certainly, MAGA as a smaller thing, but there's actually a bigger problem that's happening. And that's part of the reason, like, we're listening to a celebrity rather than somebody who actually knows what they're talking about and has done the research. And it's like, of all my hats, because I've obviously worn a bunch, the one that was the most important, I did law. I represented disabled veterans in benefits claims, right? So
Right.
I took the hardest cases. Like, my first client was a Vietnam era vet who'd been homeless longer than I'd been alive. Like, I was like, I'm taking the hard cases. I'm going to win these cases for them, get people off the street, get them food, get them income for life, and veterans who paid such an epic price, because I focused on mental health needs in particular. That was the most important work I have ever done. It was the least compensated. My first
wow.
gigs in acting, I did jingles for Mattel. That's like a couple hours of voiceover work. One national commercial paid me more for that one couple hours. Maybe you could call it a day, but it's not. We all know it's not. More
Right.
than I earned in a year of representing disabled vets. And that
Wow.
is part of a system that is entirely corrupt and messed up, and it's not going to get better unless we can actually change some of that. It's like the most important work was
Yeah.
the least paid, the least important work was the most paid, and the least important work is also like people stopping me and because they saw me in a commercial, or stopping me because they saw me singing somewhere. Like, I literally had one of those Elvis moments with someone where he's like shaking and crying because he had seen me sing. This is back when I sang more but often, but he was like, "Oh my God, Kathleen Antonia," and I'm like, "Take a breath."
Yeah.
No one has ever done that for a law review article I've written, or a
Mhm.
brief, or a case that I won. Like, no one's ever been excited to meet me because I won a case that no one had won for like a
Right,
decade. Like,
right.
it's just not the way we're set up. So I think that's sort of the bigger question: is what kind of intervention can we have for 8 billion addicts? Right? Like, how are
Right,
we supposed to
right.
intervene for 8 billion addicts who are not willing to put down those things that excite them in order to save us from literally extinguishing the species of this planet?
Oof. Oof. Well, it's true, like how we don't even put money in education in this country. It's
Exactly.
like one of the lowest, Reggie brings it up a lot. And I think this is part of a result of that.
Yeah. That was, man. Yeah. And this is why I'm such a huge fan of, seriously, because I mean, you're right. Right? Like, our priorities are misguided, right? Teachers don't get paid enough. And look, as a former athlete and having friends who work in athletics, I know how much money they're making, but they're not changing the world. They're not on a day-to-day basis dealing with our youth, right? Trying to influence and have a positive impact in some way. But they get paid enormous amounts of money because of entertainment, right?
Yeah.
And people put them on pedestals. So the people who are doing the work, who are on the ground, right, who have boots on the ground trying to do the thing, like you just said, are the least compensated for the hardest work, for the real work, rather, right?
And it
Right.
changes what youth aspire to be, right? Because do
Exactly.
you want to aspire to do the hard job that gets paid nothing? Or do you want to aspire to be like the next TikTok sensation who's getting all this, or be the next athlete, or to be the next actor or singer or whatever? It's like when you see the people who get not only money, but get respect and power,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
That is where, like, that is naturally where most people are going to be drawn. There are always going to be people who are like, no, I want to serve the people. I want to help people. I want to be on the ground doing that. There are always going to be those people, but we should have a society that actually makes that attractive, right? We should
Yes.
make it more attractive to be the one to help. Like, you're going to get something more out of that. And we're just not set up that way. And capitalism isn't set up that way. And capitalism will never be set up that way.
Right.
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 And I'm not sure if this is accurate or not, and so please correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say in Europe, at least this is what I've heard, that doctors don't get paid as much as they do here. Do you know
It might
anything
be
about
true. I
this?
don't know.
Okay. But the idea is that doctors should want to be doctors because they want to help people,
Mhm.
not because they want to make a lot of money.
Right.
Right. And so just the idea of even being a doctor, right? Being something other than an athlete or a singer or an entertainer or whatever, like something that can actually help people. We even find a way to monetize that to some degree.
Right,
Where
making
it's
money
like,
off of healthcare and insurance companies. It's so gross.
exactly. And that's the point. That's the
Really
point I'm trying to
gross.
make, is that no, these are things that's going to actually help people. It shouldn't be necessarily because you want to make a lot of money doing it. It should be because you
Right.
want to do it, right? But I think those
Yeah.
people should, well, whatever. Okay.
The number one cause of bankruptcy in this country, I think, is
Yeah.
healthcare bills.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
So,
that's a whole nother other issue. And part of that too, I think what you're talking about with Europe, I believe you, I think probably Canada too, is that you actually have a safety net, like a real one, right? In the
Mhm.
US, you really don't. Like you can actually fall out bottom, lose your home, lose everything, be on the street, as Sal said, can't pay for medical bills. Now you got these huge bills and all that. I mean, so in the US, you really actually do need to figure out, how am I going to make money, versus some of the other places where they're like, yeah, you might not have money, but we're still gonna, you're still gonna be
right.
able to go to the hospital and we're gonna take care of you, right?
Right.
Right.
Society at
Right.
large will take care of you. We are definitely, you're on your own over here. Right.
Yeah.
I used to, I say this thing all the time. I was like, this is me. Right. And this is me knitting my own safety net. Right.
Yeah.
That's it. Because if I don't depend on myself, who else do I have? There's
Yeah.
nothing in place to help me out other than myself. Right.
Right.
It goes to
So-
your
Right.
financial planning from last week. I enjoyed that. Right. I was like, but you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself here. My husband and I were in Norway. I can't remember how long ago this was, but we're in Oslo. We met some guy there. He hadn't worked for like a year. He earned $40,000 like US in unemployment. So he was chill. I mean, now mind you, when you go out in Norway, like you're gonna pay, right?
Right.
Because I think we went to some place, probably the equivalent of a Denny's or something. It was
Yeah.
not that great. Like we were like walking in and thought it was cute. We're like, oh, this is kind of a diner. But like a beer, like a regular beer was like $18. We got
Oh,
some like little bright, it was like $20. Like you pay for it, because on the other side of it is the country's actually making sure that its citizens are taken well care of.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, I am okay with that. I have
Yeah, me
said for the
too.
longest, I will actually give up more I will give up more of what I have so that others can be taken care of. Right?
Absolutely.
Like I would love to put more. I wish everybody got on that, because everyone complains about society at large. We don't have this. We don't have. I'm sick of seeing homeless people and all the problems in society, whatever the case may be. It's like, well, if you actually gave up a little bit more, we could actually implement programs to help those people so that it's a better quality of life for everybody across the board. But we're a country of individuals. Nah, I want mine.
yeah, it's
And then
very
you don't even, and
greedy.
you don't know what to do with it. You can't even, you get it and you don't even know what to do with it. Right.
This is why
So-
this is why we're sinking. So the analogy I use is probably imperfect. It's sort of the Titanic type of thing, right?
Okay.
You've got this big iceberg, hit it. There's a big hole opening up in the ship. And it's like, okay, so we can do a number of things, right? We can't necessarily stop the sinking, but we can slow it down, just kind of where we are with climate, right? We can slow down the catastrophe if we all come together. So it means trying to like patch up as much, maybe throw some of the heavy stuff overboard so it's a little bit lighter, doing all these things. And instead, we have people running around panicking. We have people who, might be the 1% or something. They're trying to take over all the lifeboats, and that's their goal.
Yeah.
We have some people who are like the band playing on the deck, right? Where it's like, this is not helpful. Like, this is interesting, but it's really actually not helpful in this moment. We actually need people to be working on this, but there are
Right.
too many things happening.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well,
I promised myself that every single time I do a talk or an interview, I have to talk about climate because it's the most important thing that we're facing. So I just, always got to bring that back.
Hey, look, I'm so with you. I just saw an article that said that the waters in Florida, the ocean water was 100 degrees.
Yeah.
100 degrees.
Yeah.
The ocean water.
Yeah.
100. And people out there loving it, right? People are loving it, right? But at the same time, I'm like, does no one have any awareness that the ocean water should not be 100 degrees, right? Like,
I just read this
because
morning
this is
the
indicative of what's
hurricane.
coming.
The Hurricane Lee is it intensified. They usually intensify 35 miles per hour winds within a day, within 24 hours. It intensified 80 miles per hour in a
wow.
day because the
Because of
water's
the-
so warm. It's getting warmer and warmer, and it's
Yeah.
boom, 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 making them bigger. It is the fastest a Category 5 hurricane has ever, appeared like that. I was like, that's crazy, man.
ELE.
And we don't give a shit. They're denying it's happening. It's not happening. La la la.
Okay, hold up. I'm glad you said that. Perfect movie. Don't Look Up. Did you see that?
I was
Right,
just about
of
to say
course,
that.
yeah.
Yes.
Don't Look Up.
Yeah.
Right. And then I love, I can't give it away. For people out there who haven't seen the movie, go watch Don't Look Up. You'll know what we're talking about people not giving a
Netflix.
shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
Netflix.
I don't know. It's been out long enough that I think spoilers are okay at this
Yeah,
point.
it's probably
Don't you
okay.
think?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, hold up then. Let me just say this then. The part that I love is toward the end where they're having a convention about don't look up, right? And everyone's singing along. It's like, yeah, there's obviously an extinction level event coming. There's a meteor about to hit the earth, and this is not gonna like just take out a part of it. It's over, right? It's
Yeah.
over. And one guy who's at this little rally did the whole thing. He goes like, he's like,
He looks up.
he looks up and he's like, look up, like it's coming, but
Yeah.
it's too late.
That
It's
movie
too
is
late.
so good, but I was amazed some of the critics did not see that it was a climate commentary. How
you
did they miss
serious?
that?
Are you serious?
Yeah. You should read some of the reviews. It's like it went totally over the head. Like, this is a climate
Yes, this is a
movie.
yeah.
It's even
And
Leonardo DiCaprio, who is all about environment stuff, right? Isn't
That's
he
true.
always
Yes,
out and doing stuff? Like,
absolutely.
how did anyone miss what this is supposed to represent?
because people only see what they want to see.
Oh, yeah.
How
right?
did you, Kathleen, get so into the climate?
I think I think I've always been a bit of an environmentalist, only because, well, not only because it started with me just understanding other species as life, right? Like, I
That had
get
value.
upset if a tree is, in fact, some fools, that's another story.
I just saw that.
Cut my tree, and I'll lose in my mind, right? And part of it, I'm thinking about the tree, right? It's like it's been cut, sap is like blood. It's like, it's been hurt. And I very much, a long time, my father's kind of a John Muir type. So I kind of grew
that's
up
funny.
that way, where it's just
Yeah.
like everything is really its own life, and you don't take it unless you really have to, but you respect it, right? It's sort of like that Avatar moment. Like, I'm killing you, but I'm giving you love in the moment because thank you for your death, right? But it's sort of that. And so I think that's just part of it. So for a very long time, I mean, because, we talk about this extinction level event now, but it's only because humans are feeling this impact. But it's like we've been extinguishing other animals and other species for decades, right? There have been, that bird from the Rio movie was extinct, I don't know how many years ago, right? After the movie, like, it went extinct. I know.
Oh, wow, I
So
didn't
we've
know
been
that.
doing that to animals for forever. And it's for me, it's been heartbreaking. And it's like, you're screaming into a void. Nobody hears it and no one cares. There's some
Right.
indigenous cultures that actually respect all life, but US culture really doesn't. And so for a long time I was thinking, okay, now how can I get people to slow down with this? And it just sort of evolves into what we're looking at now as a catastrophe, and we're talking about it more, but it's because it's now impacting humans more. But for some of us, it's always been impacted, like our behavior's always been impacting other species, and we've been really upset about it. So I think I've always just been on that track, and now it's just becoming more crucial. But again, how do you derail it? How do you derail it at this point when people are just kind of like, we don't care, la la la. And it's like, I don't know I don't know how you wake people up. And I'm a rhetorician, right? So for me, that's really interesting. Like, how do I break through? How does one find the best rhetoric, right? The means of persuasion to persuade this many people that we actually need to be doing something different. Like, I'd be a great benevolent dictator for the end of the world. I'd be like, this is what we're going to do. This, and this. This is what's happening. Everyone just has to do it. Like, I think at this point, you just have to order people. I don't think you can actually ask people. You just have to actually tell them this is what you have to do.
I think that's great. I really feel like we live in a very selfish society where everyone's really thinking of self. So we have to figure out a way to make people believe that they are being directly impacted, right? Because people don't care about society at large, right? People could care less about a bird that died. I mean, I know a guy right now that I talk about, man, everything that we're doing, the deforestation and the expansion of people and cutting down wildlife, and animals are being pushed into corners, and habitats are being taken away. He's like, hey, that's what it is. That's what, there's been, right? But what he does care about, he cares about his little 4-block radius, right? His little yard, his tree, like whatever's happening for him, that's what he cares about. So we can, I don't think we're going to ever be able to appeal to the masses on a certain level, because hell, we can't even agree that everyone should have fresh air, clean water, and and food on a regular basis, right? But if we can make it about every individual, if we can tap into the idea that you individually are being impacted, then maybe we have a chance of people kind of changing their ways a little bit, right?
I think too, I mean, it's I don't know if it's gonna work, but obviously I've been trying to think of different ways to make it work over the decades. And so the Tar state of nature, yes, named after me. So
Nice.
most philosophers talk about the state of nature, and there are other people populating that state of nature, right? So that's before all these other influences. And my state of nature probably says a lot about me. There aren't actually other people in it. So
Okay.
it's me and it's nature, right? So it's other animals, it's other plants. And so the question is, how would you be living in that state? To take a look at how you actually are living now, what is different and why, and what would you want to take? So it's sort of, for me, like in the state of nature, obviously I'm not going to be shaving the hair on my legs, not putting on makeup or worried really about what I'm wearing. Like the thing is, I'm like, food, shelter, once I have those things established, just enjoying myself. What am I doing in life? What am I, what stresses am I putting myself under? Which is, for me, it's like, I don't really, I don't like gender roles in general. So for me, it's like, there's no gender imposition of like how I'm supposed to behave. There's no one getting upset about me not behaving the way that they think I should. It's sort of like, I'm just enjoying myself. And then to see like, where are you different? So are you worried about your body and what people think about it? Why? Are you buying all these things to entertain yourself, which generally means, if you look at other animals, like generally it's like, if you have community, you have less of a need for all these things to entertain you and pull you away, because you're now enjoying community, people supporting you, all that type of stuff. So what does it mean about what's different now? Like, I don't know. So it's sort of like, can the Tar state of nature help people figure out like who they would be and then who they are, and to maybe be something different? Will it relax them so that they're actually interested in being more compatible with nature? Or is it just too late? It is just like, there's really nothing that can get through. I think that's the question. Sal, what do you think?
I mean, I'm afraid the latter might be true. Like a lot of people don't care, and it's about people even having a benefit, like you said. I mean, even like I love the nature shows. Maybe that's the answer too. Like you get them when they're young. I was into animals since I was young, watching these nature shows. I've seen less and less snow in the specials every year, right?
Right.
And but even like people in Africa or whatever, they kill the wildlife who go after their livestock. So then they're like, well, here, let's work out a tourism thing with them. They can make way more money off of tourism. And that's how they convince it. But you're not going to convince a poor farmer in the middle of nowhere, like, don't kill this thing that's killing your only livestock. So it's definitely at all levels, you see it. And somehow, I don't know how that can help people benefit.
But the thing that's killing the livestock, it needs to eat too, right? We have to respect that thing is alive.
But so does the farmer.
Value. I get it, but then how big is his farm? How far has he expanded that the wildlife has to come in and get his domesticated
maybe it's the poaching other stuff. Those animals get forced to go. I mean, everything's intertwined.
It's all intertwined. I want to make a quick comment about this, because you said community. I heard this a long time ago, or heard this a while ago, and it's about cancer, right? So our bodies are made up of cells, and they're all connected. They're interconnected. They communicate with each other, right? But what I understand is that a cancer cell is a cell that's no longer attached to the community. And so being on its own, it feels isolated. So then in order to create a community, it starts to replicate itself. But it's a foreign body now on the outside. And thus you get tumors or whatever the case may be. And it's trying to create a community. So this whole thing that I saw about this thing was that if we can reintroduce that cell back into the community, then it ceases to think that it's alone. It stops replicating itself, and now it's a part of the greater good, right? So when you talk about community, right, and isolation, right, I think that people are better when they're with other people. The whole thing about right now with social media and with devices is that everyone is stuck into their own little thing. They forget how to communicate with each other. They don't know how to socialize with each other. They're disconnected from the community as a whole. But when you take those things away and people actually have to sit and talk and go outside and go for a walk and get fresh air and move their bodies, I think they're happier in general. They feel better about themselves. But we live in a society now where they want to isolate us because it's easier to target, right? It's divide and conquer versus, being stronger collectively. So I think the idea is trying to make people feel like there is a community, right? Like if they feel like they can be a part of something, but then
Yeah.
it's
I
hard.
mean,
Education, yeah,
It's
it's
like you want to
because
bring the country together, but like COVID could have brought us all together, and it separated
well,
us
no,
even
hold
more.
up. I'm glad you said that. It did. If you think about what happened during COVID, everyone sat at home and they watched the guy literally get killed in front of them, right? And because they couldn't go out, because they couldn't do things, all of a sudden now the whole country is in an uproar. And it's like, oh, for the first time, I was like, people actually
That's
care.
true. That point,
because
that's true.
because had it been any other time, that thing has happened before COVID, right? Any other time that thing happens,
Right.
it's a blurb at the bottom of the screen, and then they're looking at the football scores, or they're looking at what their team is doing, right? They're disengaged. But because it happened during a time where there was not as much outside distraction, people got focused. And for that moment, it was a
But
thing
there's
where
also
everybody's
definitely
behind.
other things during that time period that separated us.
Well, yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely, for sure.
and
But
I can't remember the name of the researcher, so apologies to him. But there was someone who researched I think he was mostly looking at economic equality, but he was researching it since the Stone Age. He said among human beings, it hasn't happened unless there was some great tragedy, whether it was a natural event, whether it was war or something else. Like that, we're just not, as human beings, wired to care for each other unless something horrible is happening at, on this some sort of large scale, which is truly tragic. But I don't know how how that all works with it, because then of course once everything passes and once people aren't feeling the threat, it resets to us
it
being just
resets,
harsh with each
right?
other. And it's not that people aren't harsh with each other during these times, obviously as well. um yeah, I don't know. I mean, Reggie, what you're talking about made me think of, I think it's the rat experiment. I'd have to look it up. So again, I like research to make sure I'm not telling things that aren't true. So
Right,
please
right, right.
confirm anything I'm saying. But they had
And I should do that too.
that rat experiment where it was just a rat in a cage, and it was like, here's food and here's cocaine or heroin or something like that. And they were seeing like the rat basically got itself high until it died. Well, part of the problem with the experiment was they didn't have the rat with any other rats. So it was sort of, and a rat in isolation, depressed or whatever. And so, yes, it killed itself by getting high all the time. When they
Right.
put did the same experiment, but they had rats all together, they would use a little bit, but they didn't use so much that they would die, right? Like, because they had all
Wow.
of this other support in the community behind them, so they weren't as tempted. And it kind of goes back to me saying we have 8 billion addicts, but would people step back a little bit? Would they actually acknowledge, like, we actually need to do something drastically different because we're just heading towards this cliff? With the climate stuff, we really need to come together if in fact they had. And it's not enough just to have other people, right? You need people who actually support you, who care about you, who are that kind of community for you, who are helping to lift you
Right.
up. Because some people feel very alone in a group of people, and it's because that group of people just really doesn't care about you.
Right.
But what does that mean at the scale that we need it to happen, right? Like, I think that's the challenge. It's not like we have 50% of the population is really tuned in to what climate catastrophe is here and now, and they really want to make these changes. They're all like Reggie Steele, willing to cut back, like give up some of their perks so that other people could, like, they're not like 4 billion people on that page. It's like, instead we have like most of the world's population, and certainly those small communities in Africa and everything, they're not really the problem, right? Like, even our homeless people, I think, for as far as like carbon footprint, and babies in the nation in the US, just because of the services that we offer, have a greater carbon footprint than someone with like 18 kids in some small village in Africa. But it's like, what do we do with all these people who just love their things, right? They love the TVs and the games and the flying, and I'm one of those people who loves travel, right? So I have to admit it, I'm one of these people who is like, I really want to travel. So like the plane stuff, but I'm really trying to think, like, can I sail there so that I can
Right.
lower my carbon footprint around this? But it's like, what do we do with all the people who are just consuming? Like, I had this outfit today, I need a different outfit next week. I'm not going to wear the same thing again. Like, there are a lot of people who just like
Consumption,
consuming.
yeah. And
Yeah.
because they think it in their mind, I think it brings them happiness. Like it's
Yeah.
that hit of dopamine, right? Where
Yep.
they feel that moment of joy, and then it subsides, and then boom, they got to go right back to do it again. It's another form of cocaine or
Yeah.
heroin,
It's
right?
the addiction stuff.
It's the
Yeah.
addiction. So I think, man, this is great. I love this. I swear I love this. I think it's got to start at the bottom, right? And it's got to start with education. And I'm going to say it. There are some people who just aren't going to be reached. There's some people who are so entrenched in their ideas and what they want and thinking of who they are that they're not open to change at all. So it's got to start like grassroots. It's got to start to be like, with social change and economics, it can't be the people who are in it. It's got to be the people that's coming up. So to change the habit, right? Because they're all learning from each other. So I think it's got to start on some educational level where it's like we get on the same page that this is a thing that's important, right? I don't know. It's 4 billion people. Can we just reach? How about we reach? I said, what did I say last week? What did I say last week, Sal? I said we were talking about manners and the lack of them and consideration. And Sal's like, well, how do you change that? I go, well, I can't change the world. I can't change everybody, but I can change how Theo responds, right? I can teach him. So he's one person at least that grows up with this idea of how to interact socially with people in a considerate and respectful way. And maybe that's what we do with everyone. We get everyone to try to start at some point. Like,
I think I'm with Sal where, and obviously if I'm misspeaking for you, please correct me, but whereas like there really isn't a whole lot. Like I think it's kind of because we also don't have that kind of time. Right. Again, the research, I'm sorry, we can bring it back up after I bring it down right now, but
no, it's all good.
I can't remember the researcher's name, but it's been I think it was part of that MIT study back in the 70s that they confirmed. It's like the collapse of civilization is in 7 years, according to that study. 7 years from now. So what are we going to be able to do in 7 years to turn all this around and get people actually, you know what I mean? So I'm sort of like where Sal's like, what are we going to do? I'm sort of on that page too. It's sort of, I mean, unfortunately, the end of Don't Look Up, where you're sitting around the table just listening to listening to that comic hum. Like you're just sort of like, hey, pass the potatoes, because what else? But you have to try.
Right.
So I'm not saying you don't try.
Right.
You do the best you can in your own home. You do the best in your community. You do the absolute best that you can. But I think given the numbers we need, I don't know, Sal.
You need to shun more of those who don't.
No, shame is the worst.
Shunning.
Shame.
No,
shame.
dude,
You're not recycling,
shame.
motherfucker.
Okay, hold up though. Shame is the worst. In psychology, shame is the worst thing to do to anybody.
All right, the back of the hand.
Hold up, just for the record. Remember in Game of Thrones where it's like shame, right? Remember what happened? Remember what Cersei did?
I don't have some big mutant guy.
Shame led her to blow up the whole. She blew everybody up, right? She's like, "Oh, you shame me? Okay,
you dropping spoilers now."
Hold up, damn that. You shame me by walking me through the streets naked. Okay, I see your shame, and I raise you murder and death for everybody.
Right? How much would that suck, by the way, being walked through the town naked? Like, wow.
Man, I'd make so many men feel inadequate. I probably wouldn't mind it.
You know what's funny? Sal and I are on the same page as a guy. There's that part of you that's like if you're representing, if you're representing, you walk through that town like this. Shame. Yeah, what's up? All right, whatever. How you doing? Yeah. All right.
I'll be shaming like myself. Shame on y'all.
This is how you saunter through the city when you're representing the yellow shame behind you.
No, I'll be like, can we do another lap? Let's go back.
Exactly. Like, let's run it back one more time. You looking at people like, yeah, what's up? Hey, holla at your boy. I'm gonna be at the castle. Come see me.
I'll be at the castle.
It's like when you now if you ain't representing, then you walk through the city like this. You're like, oh, shame.
Be like, it's cold out. It's cold. Like, what do you want?
It's cold. I'm a grower, not a shower. You don't get it. Oh shit.
Man, Westeros is cold this time of year.
You walk through the city like this, like you don't understand. You're explaining yourself, right? You're like it's genetic. I had nothing to do with it. It's not my fault. Like, oh shit. Right. So
that's funny. So what are you? Let me ask. What are you a professor? What are you teaching in Stanford?
Writing.
And by the way, Stanford is very clear. If I'm an advanced lecturer, which means I am not a professor. They are like at Berkeley.
But you are a doctor, right?
When I do the same exact thing as far as like being a lecturer at Berkeley, then I'm faculty. Stanford, though, no, you are not faculty. Remember, you are academic staff. So, I need to correct it for them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that? Is that an Ivy League thing? What's that about?
They're not Ivy. Stanford's not Ivy League.
Oh, they're not.
No, Ivy Leagues are all East Coasters.
There's no West Coast Ivy League?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's either was it Brown, Harvard, Yale, Princeton.
Yeah, Cornell, MIT. Yeah.
MIT, yeah.
I have to go through the list. I actually someone got really mad at me. She wasn't even part of the conversation, but her daughter's going to Stanford. So someone had called Stanford Ivy League school. I was like, no, it's not an Ivy League school. She was furious. She was like, yes, it is. I'm like, no, you can just look it up. Like, it's easy. It's just a fact. Yeah. It's just a fact. It's like, that's not, she was livid though. But yeah, I mean, I teach writing and rhetoric there.
Okay.
So that's the focus.
So what is that?
Reggie comes and does workshops. He does comedy workshops in my class for my second level class. Yeah.
Oh,
I was gonna say, and it's phenomenal. Thank you so much for that opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm pointing to where you are on my screen. That doesn't really help, does it?
Okay, well, you're pointing to Sal when you do that, so you got to go to the other side. There you go.
That's to me. I don't.
You guys will fix it in post. There you go.
Okay. Well, when you pointed this way across your body, that was me on my screen. But
what kind of writing are we talking here?
Argumentative writing. So about any topic, really, although my students tend to write some serious stuff, because the course that Reggie comes for is called A Rebel with a Cause, the rhetoric of giving a damn. So it's really meant for people who have an agenda. Like, what is it you actually want to change in the world? Let's focus on that.
Does Reggie teach them how not to be funny?
Oh, that's mean. You guys need to give each other more love. Don't
we love each other. We've known each other.
I know, but it's like, even those little needles.
Listen, hey, look, it's Sal. It's Sal. He sounds like the little brother I never wanted, and then he's also like the brother that I had that I wanted to punch in the face, right? And he's also the brother that I love. But Sal, this is the thing. Sal throws shots at me, but then he throws shots at himself, right? He goes, I open for Dave Chappelle. I open for Charlie Murphy. No one asked me to be a thing.
To me, Reggie's like the Hulk. I feel like I can't hurt him. Maybe after a while he's like, oh, those needles hurt over time, Sal. But I don't know. To me, he's Bruce Banner, baby.
Yeah, it's pretty much like water on a duck's back. It just kind of roll off. I'm Superman. They just ping off for the most part, and then later I go, hey, Sal, that wasn't cool, bro. Right? Like, in public, they go ping, 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 and then in private, I go, hey, dude, I'm gonna need you to back off.
You should practice lifting each other up, lifting and celebrating each other.
I'm all about it.
All about lifting.
You know me. I'm all about this right here, right? I'm like, let's go. Yes. Oh, this is us right now. This is so us right now. Like, oh. So.
But Reggie's workshop is amazing. The students always have great breakthroughs because he teaches them basically how to write a joke based on their topics, and then they have to do stand up at the end of the class. It's really great.
That's gotta be rough to watch,
great.
Huh?
But no, it's good, and it's
fun.
like, and they have to, and it really gets them into a different way of thinking about their topics. They always do better work after Reggie's workshop.
How much time do they do at the end for the jokes?
But we limit it to a 30-second to 1 minute joke, so it's not a whole set.
Perfect.
It's not a whole set. 30 seconds to 1 minute. Yeah.
All right, that's okay.
I'll say this. I've been doing this for, it's been a long time now. How many years?
Yeah, I don't even know.
It's been a long time. And these topics, Sal, the topics that these kids bring up, they're very personal topics for them a lot of times. It's things that they feel really strongly about. And so the idea of trying to take something that you feel so vehemently, that means so much to you, to the idea of trying to think of anything funny in regards to it. It's almost like, no, there's nothing funny about this. These are my indigenous people who are being, what is it called? Exploited, right? Like, these are women who are being taken advantage of. Like, they feel so strongly about it. But the idea in the end is like, okay, well, let's look at the most extreme views of it sometimes. Like, show how absurd somebody else's opinion is about this thing. Like, you feel so strongly that this is out of control. Then what about the views of the people who are on the outside that try to say that this doesn't exist? Like, it's almost making fun of the people who are against the thing that you feel so strongly about. In some cases. I have admit it's been tough at times, but the kids have always been very willing to work and like invested, and they will come up with things, and at the end, man, the whole class gets up, they go up one by one. You have some people in the class that have been waiting for this opportunity their entire lives. They're like, I've always wanted to be a comedian. And so they get up and they got jokes that ain't even related to the topic. Sorry. It's like, some of them are so offensive that you kind of go, all right, man, look, you can tell it in a comedy club. They'll let you know whether it's funny or not. And then you have other people who are just like, public speaking is not my thing. I'm very shy, and they'll get through it. And even in those moments, you still find something funny. So it's a wonderful experience.
It's
I
really
will
good.
say, when you're funny, that has a greater impact on getting people on your side or listening to your argument, or
we talk
maybe
about
even
that too.
convincing them. And
Mhm.
that it is a power. It is a little power, and you definitely notice
Well,
it. Yeah.
It diffuses.
Yeah.
Humor can diffuse a situation, right? You can have two people
Yeah.
who are opposed to each other, but if you can get them to laugh about something, then
Yeah.
it's almost like they find that thing that's in common, and then they kind
Yeah.
of go, okay, all right. I'll hear
I
what
mean,
you're
I had a
saying.
lot of conservative ass people come up to me, on the road, and they probably never would in other worlds, you know what I mean? But because I made them laugh, you have that little power.
So humor is a great way to diffuse a situation or to bridge a gap.
Yeah, it is.
So, okay, so you teach writing and rhetoric at Stanford, and you're an advanced lecturer, right?
Yes.
But you've worn so many different hats.
Yes.
Right? Like, so you do that, but because I wonder, my whole thing is I always like the origin story. Like, where'd you grow up and how did you start? Because just for the audience, Kathleen is a UC Berkeley graduate, and then she's also a Harvard Law graduate, right? She's an
just like
accomplished
Obama,
actor.
Harvard Law.
Yeah. Were you ahead of the Harvard Law
You in
Review
his class? We all
after
together?
Oh, I was after Obama. No, I never did law review.
Okay.
That was his thing.
Oh, that was his thing. Okay. And then she's also an accomplished actor, and she created what is it? Entertainment diversity? No, not
the symposium. You mean the Getting
Played
Played Symposium? Yeah, the Getting Played Symposium, Equity in the Entertainment Industry and Awards.
Yes, and she's also, what is it, a 42-time indoor track and field world
rowing. Those records are for rowing. Yeah.
For
So
rowing,
yeah, I was curious
holder.
about the rowing, because the only rowers I know, I was telling Reggie, were those ones who got Facebook stolen from them by Zuckerberg. So how did you get into like rowing? Did you know rowers?
Exactly.
Like, that's very interesting to me.
Yeah, and then we're gonna go back and see how you got into everything, right? Like,
yeah.
let's go rowing.
Because I'm from Ohio. I've never heard of rowing until I came to California and watched the Olympics, Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I sort of call myself semi-retired from indoor rowing competitions because I'm doing track and field more now. I mean, I just rowed for a semester at Berkeley. The coach was horribly racist, so I was like, this is not for me. Like, I can't wake up at 4 a.m. for racism. Like, that's just not, like, I just can't.
That's too early.
I can't. That's too early for racism. Like, let me at least get through lunch. But like, awesome. I couldn't. So, but I was interested in rowing. Was very good at it. I liked it a lot. And then it was really because I had a really bad knee injury when I was a kid. So I've been disabled in the right leg since I was a kid, but a lot of the stuff that I was doing was too high impact. So I was looking for something a little lower impact. So then I just started indoor rowing, but then I was looking at and indoor rowing has actually been a competition, I think, since the 70s, because the folks, they're training during winter months. And so they just decided, rather, because I can't be on the boat on the water, so they were like, hey, let's start competing against each other. So it blew up, became this whole thing that Concept 2, the company, actually runs mostly. But I was looking at some of the times, I was like, my times I think are like, they're around these times, right? And they do it by, by age group and all that other kind of stuff. So I started just competing in it just to see. And then I started breaking all these records. I was like, oh, this is fun. So that's how I got into it. And then, of course, COVID hit. And I was like, I can't be inside with people anymore, right? Because I was like, I can't be inside with people breathing heavy and doing, like, I can't. And I was actually starting to move into dragon boat racing too. And I went to some, like, right as COVID hit, or at least because COVID hit in kind of November of 2019, and then it was going towards lockdown in February. So I competed in an indoor dragon boat individual racing thing just for fun. I had never done it before, right as COVID hit. And I was like, well, I can't do any of this stuff anymore. I need something to take me outside where I'm less likely to get sick. So then it got me back into track and field, which I had done in college too at Berkeley. And so it was like, I know, so shot put, hammer, discus, and javelin. Hammer is always the thing I love the most. But when I started competing, women weren't allowed to compete. So I was a little bit robbed of that. I was the first hammer thrower at Berkeley.
Wait, what's hammer?
Yeah, what's the hammer? Is it?
That's when you turn.
Oh,
okay.
With the
shot
rope or cable.
With like a cord on
it's basically a shot on a wire.
Spin. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the hammer.
It's amazing. It's so much fun to do. So I'm back doing it.
Wow. Let me ask you this.
Wait, how's indoor rowing? What is that?
Okay.
Like, is that in a pool? Like, how does that work?
No, it's on the Concept 2 rowing machine.
What is
So
the
it's a
concept
rowing
two?
machine. Yeah,
It's a
concept two is
rowing
a
machine.
particular company that makes it. So the other indoor rowers aren't qualified to do indoor rowing competitions, but concept two has a whole series of rowing competitions throughout the year.
And you're
so if
by
you wanted to do
yourself
it,
in the
Sal, yeah,
machine?
well, you're on your own machine. The big competitions have everybody in an arena, right? Like, so the big crash bees that they have and all
Wow.
these, like, you're in an arena competing against other people. But you both could do it. Reggie, Sal, you both should just do it.
Well, let me
Nah,
ask you
I'm
this:
out of shape.
how do they determine that you win? Like, how do you? Is
Oh,
it
computer
Time.
monitor, computer monitor.
so basically based on what you're doing, it's showing the distance that you would have gone. So basically, if you win, then you got to that distance quicker than everyone else.
Yeah.
Okay, so just for the
This
record,
kind of feels like the Rocky Ford training the Russian would do compared to Rocky outdoors on
Yes,
the
I
mountains.
am more of Dolph Lundgren.
Okay.
Absolutely.
and she also,
No!
and I just want to make sure I reiterate this. There are 42 plus world records for indoor rowing.
I think I have that. Yes, I haven't checked to see if they're still standing. But
40
and I think
Wow,
over
that's so
time, like
cool.
I think I have like maybe, I don't know, 26 that are, but I've broken them 42 times or something. I don't know, something like
Okay.
that.
All right,
Wow.
so that's amazing. And now we're doing track and field because I just
I'm
saw
not
you
gonna break
won
any
some,
records in track and field.
but still I saw you won a couple things, a couple medals, with it 2 or 4 events, gold in 2 or 4 events for track
Yeah,
and
so
field.
I do okay. And the National Senior Games, because
Okay.
I'm older.
Oh, thank you. Hold up. Just for the record, thank you for saying older, not old. You're not
No,
old.
I'm
No one's old.
older. I've been
Older.
drinking from that goblin of youth.
There you go.
Ah,
That's what I
but
got too.
but yeah, so that was like the national games, and I think I got 2 silvers, a bronze, and then I took 4th in javelin. Let me tell you, this was so painful for me. I've been, like you said last week, you've been fatigued. I've been having issues with fatigue for like a year. So I haven't been training. So when I got there, I was like, okay, I have to not hurt myself. Like, that's the number 1 rule, right? When you're
Right.
older, is don't hurt yourself. So I was throwing the javelin, and I was throwing it just from a stand because I was like, if I do the run up, I'm probably going to twist my, because I have to do all this rehab on my knee that I hadn't been doing, like all sorts of stuff. And I was like, I'm going to hurt myself if I do the whole run up. So I have to just stand and throw it, and I just have to be okay with that. Well, I was in bronze position until this woman right before me passed me on the last throw. And
Oh.
she took my bronze from me, and I'm in 4th. Now, mind you, I've been throwing from a stand this whole time. Everyone
So
else is doing the whole run up. And so in
oh
my head, I'm like, I could beat her if I run up, right? And
yeah,
because I'm
yeah,
competitive, enough that I'm
yeah.
like, oh, and I was like, but you're gonna hurt yourself. And it was like the first event of the entire games. I'm like, and then you're never
Okay.
gonna be able to compete in anything else. And so
Right.
I was like, oh, it took everything I had to just stand there and just throw it anyway from a stand, even though I knew, I was like, I'm probably gonna just stick here in 4th. But I was
Yeah.
like, I can't. It was so hard.
You
But
can get a couple steps, just a little bit of
I
ah.
was doing like a 2 like that. Like,
Okay,
but it was
okay.
like, they're doing the full like run up.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
Ooh.
if I do that, I'm gonna hurt myself. That was the hardest one. The other ones were okay. I think silvers were in shot and hammer, and then I got another one, took me out of silver position at the very last minute. I got a bronze and discus. But
Okay.
that was the javelin one was the most
That was the pain. That was the most
pain. That was the one like, oh,
well, hold on.
I
And
have
I did see that when you say women supporting women, you supported someone or you told someone how to beat you, basically.
yes. Oh
Right.
my gosh. So it was a discus, right? What I just told you. She wasn't the so she was sort of a sort of new, but she had really nice form. She ended up getting into gold position on her like second throw or something. Like
Oh wow.
she's inconsistent. So you know how that happens. So it's like she
Yeah.
got into gold. She didn't really throw anywhere near that for the other ones, but she got into gold. Well, she fell down in the ring, but she's new. And so she thought she had fouled. I said, don't touch anything. I said, stand up and walk out the back. Stand up and walk out the back. It'll count. So she stood up and walked out the back, and of course it counted. And I knew she was a gold. As soon as I said, I was like, oh, because
I helped her
I was
beat
like,
me.
I just got her into gold position, and she would have stayed behind me if she. It was
Hey,
okay.
but it's okay. You did the right thing. You
I
did the
did the
right
right thing.
thing.
You have to
Yeah.
You did the
support. You have
right
to
thing.
support people, right?
You
But I
have
was
to
like,
support people.
ooh.
That's funny.
That's why I didn't
Okay.
realize all the throwing stuff. There's discus, javelin, shot put, hammer.
Hammer.
Which
Yeah.
is your favorite to
Weight
throw?
throws too.
Weight throw.
throws.
Let me ask you
Yeah.
this: with the hammer, because I know I've seen it. I just saw
Yeah.
recently. I think she was Polynesian. There was a woman who like set a record, or broke some record in whatever games it was, but she had the hammer, and you're spinning, right? And I'm like,
Fast.
yo, you're spinning fast.
Yeah.
Is it common for people to let go at the wrong time? Because I mean, I know the trainers
Yeah.
like
How,
this.
yeah.
Like,
Did anyone
how do
get
you?
hit in the stands?
Yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God. Well, so you might be thinking of Cameron Rogers. I'm gonna drop her name anyway, even if you're not thinking of her. She
okay,
just won the world championships.
okay, that's what I'm thinking
And
about.
for her, I'm like, I told her this year because she's a Berkeley person, right?
Okay,
She throws for Canada, but she's a Berkeley person. I love her to death. She's the nicest
that's her.
person
What's
ever.
Cameron
But
Rogers?
yeah, Cameron Rogers.
Okay, that's who it
And
was. Yeah.
I was like, you are gonna hit 80 meters. Like that is the big, that's the big deal. She's like at 77 meters. Can you imagine throwing at
Oh,
77 meters?
yeah,
What?
yeah, yeah,
That's like 200, however many 50 feet. I have to do the
yeah.
translation. But anyway, but she's amazing. She never misses, but she's so fast. I'm not that fast at all.
Okay.
But when I first started throwing, there are a couple things. I'll do the tragic part first. Was I was there when Harold Rucker at Berkeley was actually hit in the back of the head with a hammer because the hammer thrower was his was actually just he was having a bad day and he kept letting the hammer go into the back of the cage. Like he kept letting him go into the back of the cage because he was like, this throw is off. I'm not doing it. Well, he let it go too long. So it actually went out of the cage. And Harold, who was a long jumper, was marking his stance and it hit him in the back of the head.
It killed him, right?
He is a lot. No, but
Oh,
I was like first on scene with because I turned to my coach and said, first aid? And he's like, yep. I'm like, let's go. Because I was practicing shot put at the time. So we went over
Jesus.
and I was holding his hand, talking to him. Really did think like he's not gonna make it because he was smashed in. Plus, by the way, make sure that you have people in your corner who know what they're doing because I think most of the time when people die in these moments is because everyone around them does the wrong thing. Like some
right.
coach asked me to put a bag under his head. I was like, no.
No.
And then because I was the woman, and so the male coaches came over and started rolling him over. I'm like, we need a mirror to see if he's breathing because we need to not move him. They just overrode me and did it anyway. But I held onto his hand and I talked to him. And apparently he remembers someone talking to him because he did die and came back apparently. And he said, I just remember this woman talking to me. And he was in a coma for like 6 weeks or something, which was its own interesting thing because he's an athlete, right? So he's in a coma and other people in the ICU in comas with him. He was sitting up and opening his eyes and moving around. He's totally in a coma, but everyone else is just still. I mean, that's a whole other thing about training your body to do stuff that even if you're, unconscious, you can. But yes, hammer is super, super dangerous. If you ever watch hammer, like even from the stands, do not turn your back on the hammer ring when someone is throwing. Like that's the number one rule. Just don't do it. In fact, at a meet earlier, was it last year or this year? Someone threw at Cal again, and it was like it went underneath the net and across the track. And luckily, nobody was running at that time. But it's like, hammer.
It's like a cannonball.
Yo,
It's super dangerous. It's super dangerous.
Watching Cameron Rogers, watching her spin, that was the whole thing that got me was how fast she was.
Yeah, it's fast.
And then to just let it go at the right time, I was like, yo,
Yeah.
this is, you gotta be.
I mean, is that hard to learn? Like, how do you know? You just, I guess,
you're
repeating it.
Well, you're going to make an orbit, right? When you throw, you make an orbit. So it really actually, you'll feel it like you're at the height of your orbit and it'll go off that way. But that's why the hammer cage is so serious, right? The hammer cage is tall and it's because it's like, if you miss, they don't want it hitting anybody, right? So, so in theory, if you missed that, you'd have a whole cage to hold it back so that it wouldn't actually hit anybody. But you feel it, right? You feel it going there, getting yourself to move that fast. That's why, she's strong and she's fast, right?
Yeah.
Like all of the best throwers are strong and fast, and that's really hard to get that combo. I once snapped the hammer they were throwing.
It broke the cable?
When I was at Cal, I was being trained by Ken Flax. And my friend at the time, Roland Anderson, who was on the track team, right? And I remember Roland was like, okay, so you need to like do it as if you're throwing it out and you're catching it. Throw it out and catch it. Like throw it really hard each turn and catch it and then come back around. Like you have to pull against it, right, when you're coming back around. I turned and I threw it, and on the very last one, the wire went boop, and it just broke because of the tension on it. And I went smack right down into the ring. I was like, wow, that hurt. But that's how much power you need to put behind it. Like you need to be be really pulling that thing when you throw. But it's fun.
It's counterweight. It's counterweight, right?
Is there dizziness when you do the throw ever?
You can. Yeah, you can. I've actually had a problem with dizziness lately this year. So I actually been doing a lot of my throws from just a one turn because I sort of have like the twisties like Simone Biles was talking about, right? And like I've been having that where I'm just like, I'm sort of And I mostly use what I call it the forces. When I talk to myself, when I step up, I'm like, use the force, where I'm not actually trying to pinpoint a horizon, right? Where I'm just sort of feeling the throw. But even in feeling it, I'm a little bit off. But you can't, like, if you're dizzy, it can be a problem with it. But it's mostly about like feeling, because you are turning so fast. And the hammer, unlike the discus where you can kind of turn your head, the hammer, you're really supposed to keep your head the same place as your torso. So you're not spotting and turning. Like if you spot and turn, you're not doing it right. So you actually need your whole body to just move like this. And so you can't really spot it to keep yourself from, you just see the world.
Right. You're twisting on a pivot, right? One foot, really.
Yeah.
Sal appreciated the force reference with the
did you?
With the,
well,
look at the shirt. That's his, that's his thing.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, so Kathleen, real quick, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in California? You grew up back east?
I was born back east, but moved around a lot. I'm a science brat, is the way I put it, like an army brat, but I was the child of two scientists. So we did the university town moves, mostly from my father's research and teaching. So I've, East Coast, but also Hawaii, and then the Midwest as well. So kind of all over the place.
What'd your father teach?
He is a protein chemist. And my mother is a zoologist, and my sister aerospace engineer. So she's literally a rocket scientist. Like that's my family.
Wow, that is great.
It's in the DNA, dude. It's like she had no choice but to be smart and brilliant, right? It was just.
Yeah, did you feel pressure? Did you feel pressure or no?
Well, I mean, only from myself, because actually what I really wanted, I wanted to be either a physicist or a mathematician. Those were my two faves. Genetics too, a little bit, but it's like, I've always been really good at math, so math sort of always called to me, but I really like physics in the overlap because I love quantum theory and that type of thing, and I still do. And luckily I have a aerospace engineer sister, so I can talk about astrophysics whenever I want, which is nice. But when I was at Berkeley, and I think it was my Asian American Studies class, I first learned about Korematsu versus the United States. And so this is the Japanese American internment. And I didn't learn about it in high school. And I was horrified because it was still at the time good law. Supposedly Trump versus Hawaii a few years ago overturned Korematsu, but it didn't really. But still, when I was in school, obviously before 45, it was still good law, which was also horrifying to me. So this idea of your ancestry and ethnic background is somehow going to be justification for taking you out of your home and putting you in prison, really, because those internment camps were not vacation spots, but it's just like this, it's just a horror. It was a horror for me. So what I decided was, like, instead of me geeking out at CERN making black holes, which is what I really wanted to do and still do, instead of doing that, I really needed to set this society straight as far as social justice before I could justify me having fun just doing physics.
Wow.
And that really changed it. So I never really felt like guilty about the choice, because it was like, I'm from a family of scientists. This is what I really want to do. But it's like, but at the same time, I have to change the society in which I live. And there's this nightmare of a case and a way of treating people that just, including just the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which are like, I don't even understand how people justify dropping nukes on people. Like, I don't know how you can justify that under any circumstance whatsoever. It's like, it was a nightmare. So that was how I kind of changed course. So all of my career, even acting, is more like me recognizing that celebrity is what gets you heard. It's not you being smart. So like, if I can get enough of a following as an actor to have my name known, then maybe I can get some of these other issues in the forefront in a way that I can't. Otherwise, like, all of it's been sort of the same course, trying to find the key. Then, of course, like, Reggie's talking about education being important. So now for me, it's like, especially at Stanford, where you have someone like Josh Hawley coming out of Stanford, right? It's like, for me, the best that I can is to get people who are going to have power by virtue of their diploma, period, like, get them really thinking about some of these more important things, get them thinking critically. Like, that has been sort of the trajectory on that.
What's your doctorate in?
I have a Juris Doctor, so a doctor of jurisprudence, right, for law, and then I actually have a honorary doctorate in baconism from the United Church of, like, Bacon Theology or something. That's a whole other.
Yeah, I'm like, baconism. What? I never heard of that.
Look, it's mostly. I mean, it's mostly about like doing right by the world kind of stuff. Like, it's. I won't go down that road right now, but anyway, so I guess I have the two. So that one's a doctor of philosophy, right? Because PhD means a doctor of philosophy. A JD means, a doctor of jurisprudence. So
okay.
All right, and so that's what led you to go into law, basically.
Yeah, it was still trying to like figure out like what, and with law practice, I did really well by my clients. Like I never lost a case except for one that I co-counseled. It was a ConRep case, conditional release program case. But I was still doing really well by my individual clients, and I was not changing systems at all, which I still feel like I'm not really. It's like, but it's like I was like, these systems need to change. It's great that I'm doing great by these clients, and I love my clients. I was also sexually harassed to death as a practicing attorney, and so it was when my the managing attorney, I was working for what's now Legal Aid, and in San Francisco, but I was a managing attorney at one of the holiday parties, pushed me on a couch, pushed me down, and demanded a sexual massage, is how he put it. And I was like, you gotta get off me. And he didn't. And I punched him in the chest, which made him stop. But it was like, and this has been after other types of sexual harassment. I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is too much. But it's sort of the same reason I stopped. Like House was really great. But when I was working on House, there was a creator for something else. But he was really interested in me auditioning for and maybe leading in his, he had some medical drama coming up. And we were in conversation about it for a while. And then he saw tennis rackets in my trunk. He's like, oh, you play tennis? I said, yeah. He's like, we should go play. And we went to play. And then he said, oh, I don't live far from here. You should come back to my hot tub. And I was like, nah. And that ended all conversation. And that's happened to me over and over again. So it's like these opportunities to do things come with strings that I'm just not willing. Anyway.
Yeah.
But that's
good for you.
That's sort of why I moved into like, well, I guess I'll do it. Well, actually, I moved into education because I started tutoring math. I told you I love math. So I started tutoring math. That sort of evolved. And then I started teaching at Stanford. But it's all still, that path is all still that same, like looking for what is that key that gets through to the larger society to actually change the way we regard each other. So that we can stand up better for each other and actually really help each other, rather try and, like, in our society anyway, like especially trying to like get over on each other. You know, when somebody doesn't cheat, you think they're a sucker, like all these types of things that it's like, this is not right. And it's really, but that's sort of the path.
Wow, that's great.
Hey, when I post this, how do I reference you? Dr. Kathleen Tarr? Is that how what is the proper?
Sure. You can just put Kathleen Antonia Tarr. You can do comma
Antonia
Tarr. You can put comma JD.
Yeah.
You can put a JD at the end. You can put PhD at the end. It'd be our inside joke about the baconism thing. So JD, comma PhD.
I gotta say this real quick about the name, because when I met you, you were Kathleen Antonia. That's who I knew you as.
Yeah.
Kathleen Antonia. And then I go to Stanford to do the workshop. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm Professor Tarr. Like, wait, hold up. Wait, who is it? Are these the same people?
Is that your middle name, Antonia?
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah. So for acting, I just dropped the Tarr. I just because like,
I mean, that is kind of nice.
Yeah,
I see what you mean. Kathleen Antonia.
Yeah. Well, also Tarr, like people kept saying Kathleen Turner, and I'm like, no, that's somebody else. But I'm also like Tarr. It's like, it means something if you're in Rockport, Massachusetts. It doesn't mean anything anywhere else.
Right. And I mean, and the Kathleen Antonia, that just has a ring to it, right? That rings of entertainment and actor. Like
it rolls off the tongue.
It rolls off the tongue, right? So I had there was a couple times I'm like, yeah. So when I met Kathleen Antonia, it's like, and kids are looking at me like, who's that? I'm like, oh, Professor Tarr, right? So that makes sense.
Reggie tends to be the reveal to my students that I have this entertainment hat, which is always really funny because they're always like, wait, what?
Yeah, like, you did what? I'm like, oh yeah, she's super talented, man. She does all kind of stuff. She's amazing. And I'm like, there have been times I look at her and I go, wait, can I tell them? Is it okay if I share it? You're like, yeah,
always okay.
Yeah, it's always okay. So, wow. All right. So, did we cover everything?
Pretty much. I do think I would like to have her come back sometime and discuss, physics and black holes and time travel.
Yes, I want to know how. Like, okay,
I want to just go ahead.
Well, with the black hole, right? Nothing can escape. No light, nothing. But where is it going? Right? Like, that's the thing about a black hole. I'm like, I don't understand that.
Does it grow?
Gravitational pull is pulling everything into it, and then it collapses on itself. So it holds everything, and then it. Well,
yeah, a singularity. So I mean, the idea, I mean, yes, we can come back to have a longer conversation about that. We maybe should bring my sister in, who works at the Adler Planetarium.
Oh, right, dude, they have an astrophysicist on.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
She'll drop it better, but Yeah, I mean, black holes are there are some ejections from black holes, right? So there are other types of things like that. But I think, and especially for my sister, if you were to ask her to come on, she's much different than I am, though. Just to let you know, she's very shy. So I'm just
Okay.
telling you that much. But she has for a very long time talked about, when we talk about dark matter and all that stuff and dark energy, she's talked about overlapping universes. And like, wouldn't that explain some
Oh,
of the different gravitational pulls that we're looking at and some of that, which I think is super interesting. She also, when she was at University of Michigan as an aerospace engineering major, she was the first to contemplate an electromagnetic field generator. But of course, she's a Black woman, so they kind of poo-pooed her as not
oh,
even being feasible. So that's its own story. But like, I'm just going to put that out there. Like, she had it when she was a student at Michigan, and of course later white males came up with the idea, came up with
Wow.
but anyway, but she would be the person to talk to because she's got some really interesting ideas about I mean, because a lot of quantum theory is philosophy and it's not necessarily grounded in complete fact, right? Like, it's
okay.
like you do have this information, but as you're trying to theorize, like, why are we seeing this, then you come up with dark matter, for example. And it's like, but dark matter is, it's a theory. It's not necessarily, some physicists out there getting mad at me right now.
Well, it
Um,
hasn't been proven, is what you're
Right,
saying,
right, right,
they're
probably.
right.
like, how dare she? And I'm like, well, I just want to remind you all that Einstein was a patent clerk. So, I can talk about physics too. Hello. Um, but
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, that'd be some interest. And then we can also talk, I'm hoping to have an op-ed published around the standard of proof where Black people have to prove racist experiences is beyond a reasonable doubt, like the criminal context versus preponderance of the evidence, which is for everybody else. So like, if you're trying to argue that you had a classist experience, then people are like, you give a little bit of information, they're like, yeah, that happened because it's preponderance. And Black people are constantly having to prove the things that happen to them that are racist to the standard beyond a reasonable doubt, which is not
Wow.
the right way to think about it, not right way, so certainly socially to think about it. But then it starts being in this feedback loop so that people start feeling like, well, you didn't prove it to me last time, therefore I'm not going to listen to you this time.
Right. Right.
But
Mm.
that's something I'm trying to write about and hopefully we'll have out.
Wow.
Man, that's
Wow.
huge.
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Kathleen. This is a lot.
I'm telling you, man, that's why I
I
was so
feel
excited about having
I
her come on.
learned.
Because
Yeah.
honestly, I'm just gonna throw it out there. Like, she and I, we don't get a chance to do it that often, but when we do, it's like this. And it's just such a great exchange of ideas and perspective. And she's so knowledgeable on so many levels that it's just, I get to learn and have this opportunity to share it with our audience, that they get to
Yeah.
have a sliver of
Right.
what I've experienced in our friendship. Is like, it's awesome. So please come back and let's go
Yeah.
deeper
Yeah. Let's
into,
talk about the universe.
yes, I want to talk about the universe and diversity in the industry too, because that was the whole thing with the symposium and the lack of diversity. Yes, yeah. So thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you both for having me. It's been a delight. And
Yeah.
Sal, it's really nice to meet you. Next
No,
time we
nice to
can
meet
talk
you.
about your lactose intolerance, maybe. We want to hear more
Ah,
about that.
I love
No,
talking
no.
about it. I was just at a barbecue yesterday talking about it. Always talking about it.
the thing that gets me about salad is like, I can't eat this, but I'm going to anyway,
And
right? Like, I have to.
That's right.
He's like, yeah, I look, and I'm lactose intolerant too, but I don't talk about mine.
Because
Right?
he really
Oh,
ate.
you
He
are.
really ate.
Yeah, absolutely.
A sliver. He goes, oh, I had some ice cream, it hurt my stomach. I was like, man, I haven't had ice cream in 15 years. I can't have that. Do more than hurt my stomach.
That's because you're steadily gobbling down cheese that's throwing you. And hold on, just for the record, Sal is lactose intolerant and he has IBS, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm Reggie intolerant. That's what I am right now.
he's got all kind of gut issues, and he won't stop eating the stuff that's giving him problems.
It's not necessarily true, Reggie. I'm
My husband is also
non-dairy.
lactose intolerant, and one night he had a steak with some creamy horseradish, and let's just say in the middle of the night, my eyebrows were burned off. And I just said, make it stop, make it stop, make it. I rolled over like commando style to the wall, and I was like, make it stop.
Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you right now, I will eat ice cream. Like, I haven't had, now that Ben and Jerry's has this non-dairy ice cream, which
Oh,
is
it's
phenomenal.
great.
It's phenomenal. Yes.
Oh,
it's
come
really
on,
good.
yeah. Oh,
It's so
the
good.
best.
You can't tell the difference. It's phenomenal. But there are a couple of things where I'm like, okay, look, I'm about to eat this. It's gonna be all bad. So I have to make sure that I'm in a safe place to do this thing, right? Meaning, if I'm at home, If I'm
You
at home,
gotta
and
eat
I'm
the
going
whole
to,
thing, bro.
well, you can't eat the whole thing, but if I'm at home and I'm gonna indulge in this thing that I know my body is like, I don't want to do it. Don't make me do it, please. Don't make. I go, hey, I'm sorry, bro. This is what we're doing right now. It's like 15 minutes. I get to indulge, and then I got a good 15 minutes of being okay
Don't they
before
have
it's
pills
like,
that you can? Don't they have pills you can take?
no,
Yeah, I
Yes,
take
they
yes,
them. Like,
do.
no.
They
yeah.
do.
Reggie's like, I don't take pills. It's not a pill, Reg. It's an
I'm a-
enzyme.
Hey, look.
It's natural.
I'm a purist. I'm like, yo,
Ah.
my body tells me I can't do the thing. I listen to my body. And if I push against it, then I gotta let it do its thing. I gotta share this story because I've told this before, but my buddy, I'm gonna say his name, my boy Marcus. I'm not gonna say his last name, but he's an attorney, and anybody who knows me knows exactly who I'm talking about.
I know Marcus. Took me to the Clippers game. I like that guy.
Exactly. Marcus and I at the roughly about the same time, early 30s, we started to become lactose intolerant. I used to love milk. I used to go through like a gallon of milk a week on some level.
I started when I was like 13.
Oh wow.
And when you
wow.
said 30s, I was like the 1930s. Go
In
ahead.
my early 30s.
Got it.
So I realized every time I ate milk, I would get this discomfort. So I stopped. I was like, okay, I can't do milk. So I stopped. And at the same time, Marcus was having the same level of discomfort. But the difference was he was like, nah, man, I love milk. So he would pop these enzyme pills, these lactate pills,
yeah.
right? Lactate pills. And so he'd drink his milk and take his pills and drink his milk and take his pills. Then eventually his body was like, look, I told you I don't want to do this, but you ain't gonna listen. So I guess this is what we're doing. So now he doesn't have to take the lactate pills and he can drink milk again without the discomfort. He basically strong-armed his body into like that's like being allergic to something and then just be like, well, I'm just gonna keep eating it, and your body just gives up. Right? It's like your throat is closing up. It's like, no, I'm just gonna keep going. And then the body finally gives up and goes, all right, I guess this is what we're doing. You're not gonna listen. I listen, so I don't do it. He, on the other hand, can drink milk still. I haven't had milk in decades at this point. So yeah. So shout out to Chris for his
we'll talk about lactose intolerance too, okay?
Exactly.
The universe and the intolerance of lactose.
Yes, we'll do that. Man, all right, well, okay, we were shutting down, so thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. It's great
Thank you so much.
Great having you on.
You.
You're phenomenal. I can't wait for the people to hear this one. It's gonna be good. So super excited.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah,
all right, have a good weekend and
have a good weekend. And yeah, I guess we'll be in touch because hopefully.
Yeah, I gotta get the astrophysicist in you. Ought to be fun.
I'm thinking about another workshop. I'm thinking about the workshop.
Oh, you're just thinking about yourself. There's that selfish behavior you were just talking about. I got you.
It's selfish.
I feel you. All right.
I'm helping the
about
kids,
the podcast
man.
right now.
I'm helping the kids, man.
You're helping your pocketbook. All right.
All right. Well, Kathleen, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, there it is, Reg. Good job, my friend.
That's it. I knew, man.
I feel smarter already.
Dude, really? Like
it's a lot to take in. That's when once the black holes came up, I'm like, we got to do another app for this because this is
absolutely.
That's a whole nother world.
That's a whole nother world. And to think that's what she really wanted to go into.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
She's really about the climate change too. I felt a little doomsday there for a minute. I got a little scared.
I don't know if I felt doomsday, but I definitely was like, yo, it's real. Well, look.
Yeah. That's what I love on smart people. They really know the importance of it.
Yes. Yeah. And look, when I saw the article this morning that said that the waters in Florida were 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Right?
It's crazy, man.
For a person who doesn't I love the ocean. I work on the ocean. I respect the ocean so much. But I understand what the ocean is supposed to be in different places, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so our coastlines are not designed for the water to be 100 degrees.
No.
Right?
Or the wildlife.
No,
the
coral. For the wildlife. And so that makes it harder because the fish like colder water. So they go deeper, which makes it harder for fishermen to catch fish. It's a whole thing. But even in tropical regions of the world where, it's high humidity and, it's the tropics. Even there, the water is not 100 degrees, bro. Right. So off the coast of Florida, and I saw these images of people out there enjoying the water and the ocean and playing it, and I'm like, has nobody taken a moment to be like, man, this feel like a bathtub. This ain't how the ocean's supposed to feel, right?
I feel like people peeing the whole time in the ocean. Why is it so warm?
Exactly. Why is everybody peeing in the ocean at the same time? This is crazy. I never knew the ocean was full of so much pee. Well, where do you think the fish go? The fish.
All right, let's wrap it up, Reg.
pee.
I'll just promote.
Right.
I got shows this weekend at in Texas. I got Fort Worth on September, what is it, 15th to Friday, 2 shows, and then two on September 16th in Dallas with my man Tim Meadows. Then September 22nd, I'll be in Beverly Hills opening up for him at the Wallace Theater.
Nice.
All right.
Shout out to you, Sal, for doing it. Right.
Hey, man, I'll take what I can get.
No, man, at the beginning, this was the goal, right? To be a working a comedian on the road, and you're doing it, man. So props to you for making it happen. Staying the course all these years, and shout out to Tim Meadows for recognizing your talent. And I'm sure you guys have this. Hold on, I got to say this before I go. I was talking about this the other day. A lot of comics think that, working with a headliner or being invited to work with a headliner is strictly about one thing. It's about a multitude of things, right? It's being talented. It's also being professional. It's being respectful, but it's also being able to have a connection and be like, it's like a friendship. Because for these guys, they're going from city to city. If they're going to invite somebody, they want to bring somebody that they actually get along with, someone that they can enjoy talking to. Every headliner that I had the opportunity to work with, we always had a great time at the shows, but we also had equally amazing time after the shows or before the shows, or eating or doing whatever tours and things that we're doing. It's like it's a friendship. So for those comics out there who may be listening, when you're thinking, I'm gonna work with this guy, my goal is I'm trying to blow him off the stage every night because I want to be in this position. That dude, he getting that all the time everywhere he go. If he invites you, it's because he's like, yo, this is a guy who's funny, but also, very cool and down to earth, somebody I want to hang out with. So big ups to
thanks.
Tim,
but there was a moment too. I feel like don't bullshit people is basically it too. Like, and and then after we had this dinner, and I was like pretty honest with him about stuff. It was something about the comedy, club, and he was really appreciative that I was honest with him on what was going on. Like, he didn't know, you know what I mean?
Right.
And and so that kind of like changed things too. He was like, "Oh, thanks for telling me," and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll tell you anything."
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's don't give a fuck. You're being cooler to me than most, so I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be honest with you, and don't bullshit people, because like you said, people been through it for all these years. They see through that shit, man.
They see through that shit. So,
but all right, wrap us up, Reg. This is a longer.
Hey, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed today's guest. We know that we did. Sal's gonna get me some of those, right? Some of those. But hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we're gonna keep doing it. So if you did, please like, subscribe, and share. We're gonna keep doing it. That's Sal Kalani. I'm Reggie Steele, and this is Spitballin. Peace.